Let me know.
Rolling.
Oh. I have to step right in front of this one. So since most letters are not arrow straight, they don't talk about the lines being straight. What they talk about are flat spots and bulges. That's how you analyze painted lettering. You look for flat spots and bulges. This style of letter, normally the round letters, you lose the corners, the four corners of like the rectangle this thing sits in. You lose them entirely because they're rounded off. But there's a way to bulge them out. You just push them. And that's what I did with this one. What they call a super bold. Super bold lettering style. Super bold is, I forget the percentages, but this little part in the middle, the percentage of the width of the stroke relative to the whole shebang versus this, it's a certain, I done forgot. I used to know. I can figure it out. But anyway, in shipbuilding, the lines, obviously none of them are straight, so they call them fair. Are the lines fair? Which would sort of apply to this, in a way. I just missed that one 5 times in a row. Do it. Anyway, all the numbers are based, with the exception of one maybe. All of them are based on 0. You're going to draw a number, just draw a big 0. And you can turn it into a 5 or a 6 or a 3 or an 8. And it sort of even holds true for a 4 and a 7. Just kind of really have to understand what you're looking at. I don't know. That looks a little awkward. That's kind of weird looking in the middle. I kind of made these up. All these little whoop-de-doos. It's kind of plain. Read stories about old timers that would tape the brush to a stick to reach around a column or something to paint a window sign in reverse. I've never done anything that difficult. You're not really supposed to push these hairs. You only drag. I say it's like pulling a string behind a stick. I think that's about the truth. is called human error. Excuse me one quick second. Some paint up on the So this is technically a flat, this little brush that I'm using, because it's the thing that holds the hairs to the wooden handle is a metal band, which is called a ferrule, and it's crimped flat right there where the hairs come out. So this is a flat. But the other brushes are made with a quill from a real feather. And so they're called quills for that reason. And I always thought it was interesting how the stuff that stands up the most durably to the chemicals, this paint and the solvents, are organic things. You know, tail hairs from a squirrel, a piece of a quill of a feather, a piece of wood. That's the stuff that'll endure contact with this paint. I always thought that was interesting. Of course, this is made of metal, which will also hold up just nice. No problem. Those little whoopie-doos are kind of awkward. Yep. Even with the glasses on, I can't quite see it. There it went. Anyways, almost done. Hold my breath sometimes. I have to remember to breathe.
Yeah, you do that all the time.
All of a sudden I'll be like, dang, I need to breathe. And the paint's dry over here on this side, and it's really pulling in strange ways on the hairs of the brush. But see, so that is a divot out of the curve of the letter that really, if we're going to split hairs about it, don't need to stay there. Bye-bye. That's the kind of stuff you look for. It ain't rocket science. I don't know how that happened. Running my mouth. That's better than it was. Anyway, there you go.
That looks tough.
Look good?
Uh-huh.
Kind of does look like a race car.
Uh-huh. Yep. That's what it reminds me of.
I've done a heck of a lot of race cars. I did one in Denver, come to think of it. And he went on to set the track record for his class of cars, so there.
Was that Dale Earnhardt car, or was that in
That was
Tennessee?
He wasn't really a race driver. He just wanted me to
Make it look like it.
mimic the great one.
Are we done?
Yeah, whenever you want to stop. I got several more to go. I got the 4. Do that one. My fingers are going numb. That's not good. Not a good sign. Angle right right there gave me a fit when I was trying to draw it. I was curious to see if it would give me a fit trying to paint it, but it didn't. It ain't exactly painted yet. Hold on. It ain't over yet. Nah, it's fine. This easel that I'm working on, I made this easel down in Pinellas County, which is Susan's home county, in 1987 or 88. And I still got it. This is the original one. That thing's been across the country. Good grief. Man, if it could talk. They last forever. It really is the original one. It's just a board with holes drilled every so often. Looks like 6 inches.
And he taught you how to make that?
Somebody, I don't recall. Somebody said, man, it's called a skid. And they said, why don't you have a skid? And I'm like, what's a skid? And he told me. I think I saw it in a video, actually. An old VHS, like, and the video was about screen printing, as I recall, but the guy was a sign painter. No, by God, I think it was a guy from Chicago, and I think his name's Paul Merrill. Had an instructional video that I had way back in the 80s, and I think he's the one that said how to do it. The other guy's name is Rick Glosson, I think, that had the tutorial about making your own silkscreen frames and stretching the silk and all this nifty stuff. Ain't none of it new. It all goes way back. See, so there's a bulge in the line. Got rid of it. That particular line was supposed to be straight, but it is not. No, or not. So the numbers, the symbol of the numbers, the Arabs came up with it. It's 1, 2, 3, and that's 4. They didn't make a box like a square because rounded off it would look like a 0, which is another number they invented. And all these numbers are basically just a series of lines that are the number. As crazy as that sounds. So a 3 is 1, 2, 3. A 2 is 1, and then they don't pick it all the way up. They just brought it down and made the 2. Zip, zip. A 1 is vertical. The lines for the 2 and the 3 are all horizontal. A 7 is actually an overbar 6. If you look back to the fonts of a couple hundred years ago, at the bottom of the 7, it still had the loop of the 6. They've dropped it. But I sort of made a reference to it there. And, yep, a 5. Count the lines that make a 5 sometime. There's 5 of them. Make a digital one like what you see on a digital clock. There's 5 lines. A 6, they close in the last side, and there's 6 of them. The 7 is an overbar 6. The 8 is 2 squares sitting on each other, which have been rounded off, Jesus, to make O's. And I can't prove it, but I think that a 9 is an underbar 8. And they put it under it so as not to confuse it with a 6, and it just became the 9 symbol. They dropped one of the loops of the 8 off, and went with that over time. I can't prove that one. With the 7, I can kind of prove it.
What are those Keats doing? God,
they have been having a conniption fit all day long. They've been griping all day. And now they're going to gripe all night.
Sorry I interrupted you.
It's cool, baby. Glasses feel weird sometimes. I'm still getting used to them. Boy, can I see again. Damn. Eye doctor in Chipley is a Dutch lady. I found out something I didn't know. There's 3 Guyanas. There's French Guyana, there's Dutch Guyana, and there's some other kind. And French Guyana is where Jimmy Jones drank the Kool-Aid. He didn't actually drink the Kool-Aid. Somebody blew his brains out. But that's where everybody drank the Kool-Aid. It was in French Guyana. She's from Dutch Guyana. And she did a great job on these glasses, figuring out what lenses or whatever I need. Well, shit balls. Talk about reaching around something. Here we go.
Let's put a happy little tree right there.
I'm gonna put. You know what this sign needs? Is a happy little tree and some happy little clouds.
And we need to put a happy little house with a little smoke billowing out of the happy little fireplace.
I got my fire going because it's winter time. You do whatever you want in here. I'm gonna put some trees.
My number. You're gagging me with this paint.
Sorry. I think it smells good.
It smells good. It's just kind of
strong. I love my job. High as a kite. I'm not
good. I bet back in the day they used to get high off this paint.
I used to spray pan faces. And a couple times I didn't have a respirator and sprayed one anyway. And it screwed up my motor skills. And like depth perception was flattened out. And I was like noticeably clumsy. And I decided I really ought to not do that ever again.
Yeah, probably not. Not good for your lungs either.
Not good for nothing. Boy, that stuff's potent. I don't even know if they make it anymore. All those companies are consolidated now. It was made by Wyandotte out of Michigan. And they, I do believe, have been bought, or they always were a part of Akzo Nobel. So it's Gripflex, then it's Wyandotte, then it's Akzo Nobel. But now it's all one company, although I don't think that was always so. All right, they got the 4. What do you think?
Looks good.
All right. Thanks, hon.
You're welcome.